Okay. I think most of us here as fans know what attracts us to a franchise like Transformers, and I'm sure it's different for everyone, but for writers as well, is there something in specific about Transformers that you find fun, either thematically or just like, hey, I get to name a character Killmaster and have people take that seriously?
I mean, that's a big plus. I guess this is a good segue, actually. This looks like there's some planning behind our answers. But the Transformers today is so multifaceted and it's so expansive.
They don't know we rigged this?
There's a lot of room, and I think compared to a lot of other similar properties, there's a lot of room to be quite playful and experimental. And it goes back to what we were saying before about there's lots of platforms, there's lots of ways that you can tell stories, and even like a 4-issue miniseries. I know it's not risk-free, but you can take some chances with that. You can see if something works. But I think Transformers are maybe uniquely they lend themselves to a lot of different iterations. We've got, as we said, we've got the steampunk versions, we've got sort of human formers, we've got God knows how many different iterations.
And walk me through Bromies, okay? Who saw that coming?
Or Kiss players, just to throw that out there. So it doesn't always work, but yeah. So anyway, yeah. So and again, I was lucky, being given more than meets the eye and a relatively blank canvas, and just told to have some fun with it, which I did. So it just there's a lot of scope to tell different types of stories. What about you? What do you think?
Yeah, no, I mean it's endlessly fun that way. I mean it's limited in a lot of ways. I mean you have one official sanctioned IDW female character. I had a story about a bunch of Amazon Transformer woman who that couldn't have that. There was only one woman. It's like, okay, so much for that story. But I mean, it's really flexible in other ways. Then I was seeing these Transformers yesterday that were like, coffee cups and the sundaes and stuff like that. And you can do Transformers in a diner. Yeah. I mean, you're basically doing it in the Archie diner, but it's Transformers. I don't know what that product is. The toaster's really abusing people, but nevertheless, somebody can do that and do something brilliant with it. And so it's a really wonderful palette from that sense, because the characters at the bottom at the end of the day are archetypes, right? And so you can play them 15 ways from Sunday to endlessly.
Yeah. Okay. You could ask 15 people or 50 people, and they'd each tell you different. They'd each give you a different answer as to why it means a lot to them.
And and you can invent characters and use old ones. Ashtray's the hero of your diner adventure.
With this diner adventure, I think it would be very gritty, wouldn't it? It'd be a sort of Frank Miller-esque, nihilistic exploration of a lost Americana.
Exactly. No, it'd be great. I'll talk to Frank about that. I mean, you realize it's a real quick story, but this tells you that your point in networks is Frank was part of the network of the Transformer movie. I mean, and I've told the story a lot, but it's important for writers to know this. Is Steve Gerber and I were editing the Optimus, scene, because we actually really cared about this and wanted it to be perfect, right? And guy's coming over for lunch, and he comes in. Flint, why don't you meet Frank? Howdy. And Frank's trying to figure out how to have a fight between Superman and Batman. Okay, in this graphic novel he was working on. And by the end of the day, we'd solved Superman and Batman, and we'd solved Optimus and Megatron, and his thing ended up being the Dark Knight, and our thing ended up being the Transformer movie, and that all happens in the same room, in the same day, with the same guys. And you think about the implications of that echoing through, and that is called network. And Frank and I have done stuff ever since then, with certain exceptions. But I mean, it was, if you have a network and you're really good people and you just jam ideas, and it's like there's never been a financial transaction between us. I mean, it's like we're sitting there, we're a couple of musicians jamming together or something, and that's how the kind of network you want to build.
Okay. Thank you.